Rise and shine. It's time to start the day. Welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television, your daily wake-up diet that dissects the topmost items in the news. I am Henry Igwebike.
And I am Roberta P.I.4.
Yes, we'd love to make welcome Roberta as she makes her debut on Enterprise Television. Welcome, Roberta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
The best thing that ever happened.
Take that
on the new media. All right, so we want to make welcome Roberta as she joins us. But just before we head to our headlines today, let's quickly invite you to visit all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7 and also log on to our site also at Enterprise TV News.com. With us today in the studios to do justice to all that we have for our main conversation and possibly take you to our newspaper reviews also is the Barrister Evans Felony, the Barrister at Law and Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning, Barrister.
Good morning.
Welcome once more.
Thank you.
All right, so let's quickly start off our newspaper headlines today with what we have on the Vanguard newspaper. We have the big story here. TSA, fresh panic as federal government demands 50% of aviation agencies' revenue.
And the police invite NLC president over terrorism financing, treasonable felony.
Yes, on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have NNPC post 3.3 trillion naira net profit, declare 2.1 trillion naira dividends.
And here we have Tinubu saying this one, how I am winning war against corruption.
But let's get to the big story we find interesting here. And of course, it's on the NNPC posting 3.3 trillion naira net profit. And we have it authoritatively from the newspaper. That is that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has released its 2023 audited financial statement, AFS, declaring a net profit of 3.297 trillion naira for the fiscal year. This indicates an increase of 28% over 700 billion compared to 2.548 trillion recorded in 2022. A barrister at a time when there are still long queues everywhere across the country. A petrol sells for between 800 and 1,000 naira.
Yeah.
We have an NNPCL that's declaring a profit. How is this significant to running a business? And of course, when such business has significant effect on the lives of people.
Well, the scarcity will not stop a company from declaring profit or loss, whether there is scarcity or not. Before the scarcity, there used to be the product used to be all over the place. Okay, so we're already in August now. Many companies are looking at. No, most companies even close their year in October. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, the legal profession, after the MBA conference this month, the legal year is over. In fact, the calendar is over for the year. So this is the period where companies begin to put together their annual report for the year.
Okay.
You know, focusing towards the end of the year where they'll have their AGM, annual general meeting, wherein they churn these things out. So you'll see it, even the banks, you will see all profit, loss, and all that. So it's a normal thing. But our worry is that is it the right time to tell us about your profit or your loss when you are not managing the country well? You are not managing the citizens. Your role as a corporation is badly flawed. It's flawed because if Nigeria with 200 million people, we have to go through this all over every time. I remember as far back as the early 80s, we're talking about fuel scarcity. To date, there are countries that don't have a drop of fuel, but they've not experienced scarcity for like 50 years running. They don't have a drop of it. So if you have it, and there's always scarcity here, it speaks a lot about other areas of our economy. You understand? It speaks a lot volume. It means that we cannot manage ourselves. That's what it means. It's like a country that got independence in 1960 cannot manage it as it has fared until 2024. Perhaps we should call for recolonization. Yes, we cannot. The white men left us too early. We're not ripe for this at all. That's what I think. It's embarrassing when you travel to other countries. You see the way the countries are run. You know, you marvel at the level of organization, at the level of infrastructure, at the level of thought, human interaction, and all that. But here, you don't get to see that. Now, NLP is telling us about profit. Okay, like that is what defines efficiency. Does not define efficiency. The NNPC boss need to go. I've said this over and over again. Because what they are doing is, they are not managing the NNPC well. Because they invest a huge chunk of their time to companies they own abroad, offshore. You understand? So NNPC is an afterthought. There have been allegations here and there that they own refinery in Malta, in Saudi Arabia, in South Africa. And these allegations are not wrong. They are not false. These guys in the oil sector have refineries all over the world. But they cannot build one here. Even the one that was built here cannot get crude. You understand? When we didn't have any refinery here, what we do is to ensure that we get enough crude and then we take it out and then bring back refined products. Now that we have refinery, you know what our refinery is doing? Our refinery is going to America to buy crude. I don't know if you understand it. When you didn't have, you exported. When you now have a refinery, you now go and... so it's a big complication. Let the NLPC, let them give us rest. Perhaps that organization should be scrapped.
Really?
Yes. Let's have something better. Or they should just, sack everybody there and do something else.
But the truth remains that as the only company with the sole monopoly of importing refined fuel to the country, it's not far to say they can make as much profit as they can, knowing that the sector is not competitive.
No, they are not the only. They are not the only company with monopoly.
As at today.
What happened is because independent marketers cannot access forests. You as an independent marketer, you can't get the volume you need to go and, you understand? NNPC is good. The federal government will just ask CBN to push and they go and, you understand? Before now, independent marketers were, that's why we said that this is a bad administration. The administration before this and this is the worst ever in the Nigerian history. Because people have companies, people have licenses to import. But where will you get the forest that you used to go? You can't go and pay naira there. You have to pay in dollars. So, and CBN will not give you that volume because the application is much, and then they reduce it to the barest minimum for it to go around. So government now own the monopoly of the forest. So that is why government can import. And government is the one you actually earning too, because the crude they earn in dollars.
Yes.
So you could easily convert that and go import the finished product. But to an individual, it's not. Well, as you are right. As we speak today, NNPC is the one that have that monopoly by virtue of the scarcity of forests.
Well, we don't see any end in sight in all of this, especially knowing that when in a field where, of course, there ain't competition, it means that the person in charge would always be in charge and take care.
The competition is supposed to be Dangote now.
Yes, exactly.
You understand? Who is supposed to refine locally, and then, but look at what he's going through. He's not able to. I think he's dealing with what they call the lubricants now. Okay, which is not really the major item. The one that is highly consumed by everyone is the PMS.
Yes.
You understand? So he's not able to. I don't think the federal government, in one of the FEC meetings, the president ordered that they give him crude,
which they promised by October 1st.
Yes.
Yes, they will start.
But the president was saying it as if he has crude in his backyard that they just cannot give him. Because that October 1st,
Yes.
that October 1st, would that October 1st extinguish the production sharing contract with IOCs or the forced sale agreement with the federal government and or the, what do you call it, the other one, JV, joint venture agreement. You have standing agreement on crude not produced,
which we don't even know how long that will last.
Yes, you have signed an agreement on your crude, even the one in the offshore and onshore. There's an agreement already on how it is shared already. So that you're asking that Dangote will get October 1st. Let's watch and see.
All right.
October 1st isn't so far.
It's so far, isn't
August,
it? Let's wait and see what will happen. But of
Yes.
course, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper.
Okay.
Roberta, what do we have there?
Okay, so states now 600 billion naira rule fees, store 90 power and telecoms project.
Yes, and also on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have ASU issues a 21-day strike notice over unmet demands.
As fuel scarcity worsens, Atiku knocks Treasonable over subsidy and refineries delay.
And also we have bandits kill Katsina government, governor's aide rather, orders abducted 29 orders. And still on the Guardian newspaper, we have Felony sues AGF, Lagos, Ogun, AGs over open defecation. And of course we have the man himself here, of course, to tell us this and more. I know you had explained why you went ahead to do this and how that affects on the society, on our branding as a country, on our patriotism as a people, and so on. But right now we have it going on. What is the next step after this?
Well, the next step is that we're yet to get a date in court, okay? And a date will be made available to us by next week or by the end of this week, you understand? Before we went to court, we wrote pre-action notices, letters to the Ogun State Attorney General of Ogun State, that of Lagos State, and that of the Federation. The reason we did that is that we wrote to the Attorney General of the Federation because it's a federal government road. The federal government actually owns that property.
Yes.
Okay, but beside the property are two states, Lagos State and Ogun State, who respectively have ministries of environment. Okay, and the responsibility of the Ministry of Environment of a state is to ensure that that ministry takes care of the environment and then curtail the citizens and encourage them to keep the environment as clean as possible. In those days, we used to have environmental sanitation Saturdays, and before it was outlawed. Then in Lagos State, now you have environmental sanitation on Thursdays. For Ogun State, I don't know when they have theirs. So it is expected that the government of the two states respectively have seen this, because this is not the first time. We have written articles about it. And where people go and they defecate on the expressway and the state is watching it, it means that these two states are ungoverned spaces. That is what it means, because, when they defecate at the median part of the road and it rains, the water takes the excreta and channel it into the Ogun River. And just under the bridge there is an abattoir where they kill meat, where they kill cows and all that. And when they are done with killing these cows, they go to wash it inside that water. You understand? So it's funny. And to say that it's not only restricted to Lagos and Ogun, because when the water takes the excretans, it travels into other states. Before you know it, the Ogun State empties itself into the River Niger. From the River Niger, it gets to Delta State, where it came from.
Then
You
from
understand?
Delta, I guess
So
we
you
are
cannot
going
be cannot be defecated in Lagos and be transported to
to
another
another
state.
state.
So we are, we have argued local standard because we know when the defendant fire, they'll come and say, I don't have local. But we've argued that already extensively in the suit that adjacent our office is the expressway. Okay? And that the stench and condition affects us far and above every other person who stay far away. Okay, so we have a case. So let them come to court and tell the court that it is right for their citizens to be defecating on the expressway, and they will have nothing to do about it. They cannot set up a task force. Meanwhile, they have a task force that go around to collect tax from people, that go around to demolish buildings and mark them not fit. But they don't have a task force that will curtail people defecating up and down. So it's not right. That's why we went to court, because they did not respond. The Lagos State government in fairness to them, they actually responded. They wrote a response. But in their response, they just few lines that they are looking into it. For this is the second month that they are looking into it. So they are not serious about it. And that's why we have to go to court.
And interestingly, while coming to work today, just at the pedestrian bridge there, standing up there, I saw straight urchins using that place, for the same reason that you had sued them for. And of course, the question still remains. How easy do you think it is for an individual to fight or to go against a humongous system like that of Lagos and Ogun State? What are your chances of getting through this course and ensuring that what you need is gotten?
Yes, we have high chances. If we get the order of mandamus that we're asking for, and the court, which is very probable, at the risk of not preempting the court, but that is very probable. It's a social cause. It's a public interest litigation. I'm not paid for it. I don't have, I've not earned anything from it, but rather I'm spending my money for it. So if we have that, what it means is that we'll now have an order. So if the act continues, it means that the Attorney General of both states and that of the federal government will be guilty of contempt.
Okay.
Yes, they'll be guilty of contempt of court because there's a court order that be taken when we finally get there. Okay, so the next thing we will approach the court to ask that the court commit them to prison.
Commit who?
The Attorney Generals of the Terrorism. Yes. That's the enforcement.
And you think that's possible?
Why is that enforcement?
That's a long haul.
Why Nigeria?
It's doable. No, hold on. See, don't say we're in Nigeria.
Okay.
The former EFCC chairman.
Yes.
Somebody went to court to that effect that to enforce an order of court that he's in contempt of. And he was asked to come and show cause. He went to court. They filed a defense to that.
Okay.
And that was argued and brought to arrest. The current IG had the same issue.
Egbetoku.
Yes. Yes. You understand? So let's not say, you see, there are legal remedies to all wrongs. Even if it's the president that is involved. There are legal remedies. So you not sit there and say, hey, will it work? Will it not work? Why won't it work? Why won't it work? Because I will write straight to United Nations. Yes, I'll write to United Nations if they think that they want to suppress this whole thing. United Nations have a full arm on environment. So when I write to them, and I will make a request to United Nations that during the meeting, the General Assembly meeting that's coming up in November, Nigeria should not be allowed to go there because they are not keeping to the SDG goals. And the reason the United Nations came up with the SDG goals, one of the primary reasons is to protect the environment. So they should not be allowed into the General Assembly or any arm of the United Nations because they are not in compliance with the programs of the United Nations. Yes, they'll be disgraced.
All right.
Of course, especially at a time when we have epidemics, ravaging the country. We're still battling with mpox, cholera is there, and all that. But let's move on to the next daily and the Punch. What do we have there?
All right. Now the Punch. Tankers besiege depots as petrol shortage worsens.
Yes, and the rider there. We have some riders there.
All right. And it says Independence outlets sell at 980 naira per litre. And that one is talking about the black market, also selling at 1,400 per litre.
Yes. All right. On the top strip there, we have a Tinubu panel, a Dangote refinery agree on September petrol rollout.
Okay, this one says NLC protest as police probe Ajaero for terrorism financing.
Yes, and also on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, we have NLC. Okay, yes, there you had already on that. And
yes.
On the top strip of there, we have opposition tackles president over new presidential jet.
And also this one says from Tinubu, why I won't interfere in anti-graft agencies' operations.
Yes. All right, so let's take that. Why I won't interfere in anti-graft agency operations. That's coming from the president himself. Constitutionally, I don't know, maybe you help us. Do you think the president has the right to interfere in agencies like the one he just mentioned? Let's start from there first.
No, the president have no such right because those agencies are independent. Okay. Except in times when they want to play politics. Because the likes of Akpabio, and there's so many of these past governors who are now in the National Assembly who had serious issues with the EFCC, and they moved from PDP to APC. Their sins were forgiven. That is when they begin to, soil their hands around. Otherwise, they are supposed to stay away. Okay. Allow these institutions, they are independent. If you look at the enabling laws that set them up, there is no place in those laws where it says that the president shall direct them on what to do. Theirs is to ensure that they function according to the extant law that established them. For the EFCC's economic and financial crimes. You understand? For the ICPC, it's the same thing, but where the suspect is a government, is a public servant. You understand? For the police, to protect lives and properties. So all these law enforcement agencies, they have specific rule and they're independent. The president have no such powers to direct them. But when they want to play politics, like they begin to use this institution against, what is happening to Ajaero now? He's financing terrorism. How much does Ajaero have? How do you finance terrorism? Do you know that is another case? They won the case we just filed yesterday. We filed another case yesterday against the federal government. And that case is that the BDCs and individuals sponsoring Boko Haram, they listed them sometimes in February.
Yes.
Now they listed those people and they put their name on the website of the Nigerian Sanction Commission. Okay. And those names are there. To date, they have not been prosecuted. So I filed a case to seek for an order of mandamus compelling the Attorney General of the Federation to commence prosecution against those suspects. We just concluded the filing yesterday. Perhaps maybe by next week it will be in the papers. Why would you list them and you don't? Because the next thing they will tell you is that I filed a case like this before. After 6 months, if nobody goes to court, anybody that eventually goes to court, the rule, the public service rule says that when a cause of action arises between an individual and the federal government, if you don't bring your action within 6 months, you will be statute barred. You're not going to prosecute again. So now the next thing they will tell you that the action arose a long time ago. You didn't bring the action within 6 months. Therefore, you have lost your right to litigate. So that's why we rush to go and fight before we get to 6 months. They say, because these are the ones that investigation, even the United Arab Emirates, first mentioned them before the Nigerian government did an investigation and uncovered how they use cryptocurrency and all this to transfer funds, to finance this terrorism. They have not said anything about them. They just woke up now. They did they went to ransack somewhere. They say it was DSS, they say it was police. The NLC's office. The next thing now is that they have gotten evidence now that Ajaero is funding terrorism. How about the people you mentioned before? The ones that truly are the real sponsors.
But when the president keeps mum, and sees no evil, hears no evil and sees no evil, can't that equally be said to be interference too? Because as the president, he has that power, even if not directly to interfere, but encourage agencies to do the needful. So when the president keeps mum to issues like this of national interest, especially for the BDCs that we know who they are, don't you think it's equally sort of an accomplice.
It's part of what we're saying. It's part of the bad governance. He's not supposed to interfere with the security agency, but he can ask questions. What is going on this? What's going on that? What's going on this? Nobody asking any question. You understand? They say it's Joe Ajaero now that is said. The issue is this: in Nigeria, when you project for good governance, because Joe Ajaero has held the federal government hostage for this what do you call it now? NLC strike and all that. The next thing now is to break his wings to get back at him or something like that. That's what we do in this country. That's why, that's why a lot of people don't put themselves out for anything. When you just talk, they'll say, okay, we've heard. Because those who went there to make sure that things are corrected, the next thing they'll look for one and put. I have a client of mine someday called me from Lekki and said the police sent him an invitation. I said, snap the invitation and send it to me. He sent it to me. I said, I read it, and what I saw there is that my client is funding terrorism. Hey, that is part of those that fund terrorism, and the police have invited him. He has to come and then do. And the department that we invited him, anti-bomb squad, anti-bomb squad or something. Okay. One very scary thing like that. And we went there. They should write a statement. They should do this. I was looking at them. So this man is one funding terrorism now. So we have a very big problem. We have a very big problem. I mean, and our country is not moving forward because when we confront our demons, you know what we do? We run away. We'll start to go and look for some people who you know that have no business with that crime. They'll go and get them and start to prosecute them.
That is the situation we found ourselves. And Roberta, while we talk about this, some of these anti-graft agencies like the EFCC, equally, needs to learn how to do their jobs better. Yahaya Bello is still walking free. I remember the chair of EFCC said he would love to resign if he doesn't prosecute Yahaya Bello. But of course, the gentleman is still around, doing his business, and of course, the EFCC ain't doing anything about it. That's the situation we found ourselves, unfortunately. Well, that's the size of our segment today on the newspaper reviews. I would love to say thank you to Pastor Vansofili for being part of our show today.
Thank you very much.
And yes, when we return, Presidency confirms acquisition of new presidential jet as Tinubu travels aboard new Airbus A330 to France. Please stay with us.